So, out of all the movies getting delayed this year, we got a Borat 2, which is really unexpected because we only got the trailer like last month, and now we have Borat 2 available for everyone. So I've seen the first Borat film and I freaking love it. It's basically one of the best comedy out there. For me, I love the inappropriate and offensive jokes that the film has. I also love the sexist, the racist jokes. I like edgy jokes. That's just me. And I know it's wrong, but these jokes were these jokes happened in 2006, which is a very, very different environment back then. Now, everyone is forward thinking, everything is so progressive. That's why I think Borat 2 kinda held back to those jokes, and instead, we got a film where it focused more on the human elements of the Borat character. So just like I said, Borat 2 has a more personal story to it compared to the first one. And is it for the better or I don't know. I'm not sure. But I do think that Borat 2 is a very good film. It's just that it didn't live up with the first one. Shh. So Borat 2 starts several years after the first Borat film. Like it shows how his first like how Borat's first documentary affected America and how it affected the Kazakh nation he's living in. For America, it's kind of good news because he became popular. Everybody knows him, but for the Kazakh nation, it kind of showed to the West of how like stupid the country is. I'm not even sure if the country is real. I didn't look it up, but I think it's fictional or something. I'm not sure. And this film is just about jokes. It's all about jokes. I think, it's not serious at all. It's just jokes. It's self-aware and its self-awareness is the thing that it's making it funny. And while we still have that fish out of water elements in the second film, there's just not as much as compared as the first film because the first one it's like Borat's first time in the West, but this is his second time. He now has a mission to do, and one of the greatest surprises about this film is the second character, which is Tutar, played by oh played by Maria Bokalova, if I'm pronouncing that right. And yeah, this character is very special in this film because while this film is a very different film compared to the first one, this film has more heart to it because in the first movie it's all about Borat discovering America itself, and at the same time it's his journey towards getting closer to one of the Baywatch girls, which is Pamela something. But here we saw but here we can see the more human elements of Borat because now he's sharing his journey with his daughter, which is Tutar. And the great thing about this is that if the first film is all about Borat's first experience living in the West, this is basically Tutar's story, and it's her first experience here in America. And the fascinating thing about this is, in according to the movie, in Kazakhstan, women are treated like objects. They are treated like livestock. That's why when Tutar went to America with Borat, Borat treats her like livestock here in the US, which means that if people see that happening in the public, it's going to cause some troubles. It's going to be really inappropriate, like, just walking out in the streets with your daughter on a leash. And not only this is a very personal story to Borat, but this is also a personal story to his daughter because this is her daughter discovering that women can do more in the West compared to what's happening in Kazakhstan. And not only this is a very personal story to Borat, but this is also a personal story to his daughter because this is her daughter discovering that women can do more in the West compared to what's happening in Kazakhstan. And there's just a lot of character development, there's a lot of character progression in the film compared to the first one. Because in the first one, Borat stayed the same fish who is still out of water. But here there's just a lot of character development. There's more story to it. It's more well written when it comes to the story elements and the character development. But when it comes to jokes, it's not as good as the first one. Because the first one is, like I said, it's very offensive, which I find funny back then, and I still find it funny now. I can just watch it all over and over again, and I will never get tired of the first film. Second film, um, it's it's kind of holding, back, but there we still have the same cringy moments from the first film, like the same cringy moments from The Office, where you just can't look on what's happening on the screen right now. And yes, there are also some heartwarming scenes with him and the daughter. And if you guys watch the trailer, there's this scene in where the daughter is trying to get an abortion, and that is one of the highlights of the film, at least for me, because not only the doctor there delivered his lines well, or should I say, um, he handled the situation perfectly, but also it is one of those few scenes that are just kind of cringy at the same time. Like, it's one of those few scenes has has that first Borat movie atmosphere and element to it. And one more thing about this film. So, while watching the movie, I find out that it was being shot before the pandemic happened, which I really find interesting. Viruses or pandemics, they just come out from nowhere. While we still get several virus outbreaks from time to time, nobody really knows when a pandemic will happen. They're like earthquakes. We can assume that it's going to happen, but we're not sure like how big of a problem it can be to us. There might be some parts of the film that is not scripted, but it's just fascinating that they were able to include the pandemic in the movie itself. It's like Sacha Baron Cohen came up with this idea to, hey, let's just include the pandemic and what's happening in the world right now in this film so that people can relate. And not only they included the pandemic, they also included the 2020 US presidential elections to it, which makes this film very, very timely. However, it can alienate someone who is watching this film in the future because, in the future, there might not be a pandemic anymore and there's no US election happening. So, yeah, I can see this film getting really old very fast. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 5 because it's still a really good film. It's a really fun watch. It's entertaining. There are some good and heartwarming films. We were able to see some elements of Borat that we were not able to see in the first film. However, it's not as good as the first film where it's just from start to finish, appropriate jokes, cringiness, those kind of stuff. So if you like the Borat character, you're still going to love this film. And I do hope they make a third one, which with more cringy elements. So again, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the Giga channel for more movie reviews. I'll try my best to make them whenever there's a new movie coming out this year. But yeah, we cannot go to the theaters anymore because of the pandemic. But what else can we do but to stay safe? So wash your hands, keep your mouths covered and nose covered. And yeah, stay clean, stay hydrated, and take care. And also, if you can speak Tagalog, please follow me at anchor.fm or in Apple Podcasts or in Spotify Podcasts because, like I said, I have a podcast and it's Kwentuhan About Life. It's all about talks about life itself. And it's mainly spoken in Tagalog, which is Filipino. And again, thanks for watching. Take care and goodbye.